All right, I want to make a video here in RoboGuide to show you how to utilize inputs and outputs with the FANUC robots. If you remember, we talked about in class, we talked about digital inputs and outputs. We talked about robot inputs and outputs. And now I want to show you how to utilize those in your program, whether it's turn an output on or off, whether it is read and input status. I want to show you both of those. So remember, in our shop, the robots do not have digital input and output capability. So we are utilizing the robot input and outputs as our connection functionality, where normally the robot IO is for things on the robot or end of arm tooling stuff. So first thing you need to know is how to get to it and what is the robot IO. So on our teach pendant here, if we hit IO, it will take us to our inputs and output menu. Here, this is every set of inputs and outputs. So currently you can see up here, we're on cell outputs. If I hit the type button right here, now I get all of my different options. So if I want to go to digital IO, it's right there. But remember, we're in robot IO. So I'm going to do robot. Now you can see that popped up what my current robot outputs are. If I want to look at inputs, I can just toggle this in out right here. So now I'm on robot inputs. So you can see the configured robot inputs are currently RI1 is a green button, RI2 is a sensor. If those are wired up properly, we should be able to press the green button or flag that sensor and see these toggle. If we go to outputs, we can see RO1 is my vacuum gripper and RO2 is my conveyor. Here we can test these by toggling them on and off. So now the vacuum gripper is currently on and now it's off, and same with the conveyor. So now our conveyor should be running or our conveyor should be off. So now we know where to find them and what they are. So now we'll know how to reference them inside our program. Next step will be, let's hit our select button. I've made a program here called Robot IO, and we will go ahead and edit that. So remember, every time we're working with a program, it's always a good practice to call out our user frames. So if we do a shift chord, we can see we are currently on tool 4 because I did change the tool to this suction. So make sure that tool is set up. And then I am using user 1. User frame 1 is this first table here. So I am 4 and 1. So over here to go ahead and get our program started, I'm going to click on instruction. I'm going to go to offset slash frames. It's a little confusing here because it looks like offset frames, but it's offset and frames. So here I'm going to grab my user frame number. It's going to be a constant, and I'm going to give it number 1. I'm going to grab my here. I'm going to grab my tool. My tool is a constant and number 4. So there's that set up there. So now we are ready to start programming here. I'll start with a home point. So I'll come to here and I'll just add a new joint motion. So there's my home point. Now we need to pick. So I will move down to this box and pick. So I'll try to get pretty close. To this box, but since I'm not actually picking it, I'm not going to be too concerned about how close I actually am. Let's go there. Let's give it a little Z. Oop, a little too far there into the box. And a little more X. Oh, I'm a little rotated. So give it a little that. There we go. So one thing to note is you don't want to go straight down to this pick because it's going to come at an angle, right? I normally like to do the pick first so I know I am straight and flat above it. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and drop down a line and I'll set my pick. So I'll do point, and I want a linear. 100 millimeters is going to be a little slow. Let's do 1,000. So now I have that point, but that's not the first point I want to go to. But now that I'm here, I can just do a positive Z, and I know I'm straight up, right? So I don't have to worry about trying to line my approach up. I can do the pick first because that's what matters, and then just give it positive Z, go up a line, and then now give that the motion. So yeah, it goes 1, 3, 2. But I know I was perfectly aligned with this box, and all I did is some positive Z and then made my point. Okay. So home position, approach, pick. Now I want to come back to the approach. I want to turn the air on and then come back to the approach. So next we need to turn an output on. So this is one of our new functions. So if I come to instruction, I click IO, I can see RO brackets equals. So I'm going to put that. So RO, this is just where you type what number you want. So I'm going to do RO1 because that was our vacuum. And then it equals what? So we're changing it to what status. So we want to turn it on. So I go to home, I do approach, I do my pick. Now I turn RO1 on. Now I want to come right back to my approach here. So yes, I am already at my approach, but I can just go and add a point because we don't care where it's at and then make that 3. So now we know this is the same point. So now we have the box. We have the box in hand. So that was our pick. Now, I just want to move the robot to the other side of the table and do a place. So that's fine. So move the box to the other side of the table. We can leave this the same as an approach. So we can go point. This can be a joint move because it is going between the two. And now we want to place that box. So now we can give it some negative Z. Turn my speed down a little. So there's my place. So I'll save that point. And I want any motion to and from a product. I want that to be a linear motion just because we want to know that is perfectly straight. Make the speed 1000. And then we are going to go back to our instruction, IO, robot IO, and we are going to set robot IO 1 to off, turning our vacuum off. And then we want to go back to our approach point. So add a point here. And I'm just going to renumber this to 4 because I want to go right back to that same point. That's it. Okay. Oh, there we go. I was just changing the speed. So I'll change this. Change the speed to 1000. There we go. I'm going to drop down 2 lines and I'm going to add another point and I'm going to call my home position to go back to home. Exit. So there we go. So now we have our pick, we have our place, and we return to home. Next thing I want to do is I want to add some jump labels in here so it repeats itself. So I'll come down here to the bottom, to somewhere below all of my logic. I want to go instruction. I want to go jump label. First, I'm going to add the jump to label. I'm going to call this number 1. Remember, the jump label and the label itself do absolutely nothing other than just a reference in your program. So this just says jump to label 1. We don't have label 1 created, so if we tried to run it right now, it would throw an error. But up here at the top, if we go and add that label 1, which, like I said, remember, this does nothing other than a placeholder. Now this program will cycle through. So let's go ahead and try to run it. So what I got going on here is I did a split screen so we can see our robot inputs and outputs on this side and our program over here. So I want to go ahead and run my program. I'm going to run it in auto. So I have my teach pendant in off. I'll reset and then I'll hit my run button. So now we'll see that the robot picks and then places. You can see in that where you can see our vacuum turn on, where it's holding the box, and then where it turns back off. So there we go. We successfully have done a pick and place, and we controlled the robot output. The next thing I want to do is I want to add how to start this with an input. So like when we push a button, it will start, and it will only cycle once when we push that button. And then we have done the input output lab. All right, so back in our program here, I want to add the utilization of a robot input. So I want to start our program when we press the green button or press a button. So up here at the beginning of our program, it can be before or after these U-tool and U-frame movements. I'll go right after. So right here before this home position, I'm going to add a new instruction. So instruction, I am going to go to a wait. And then I am going to go to a wait blank equals blank. So if I click on, let me turn my teach pendant back on. If I click on that, see I have a wait, and then it says wait for what to equal what. So now I can click on robot input, and I can say number 1, because that is our green button. So wait until robot input 1 equals, and I'll say on. So here, it is going to get to this point, and it's not going to move on until it's on. So if I go and go back to split screen, now I'm here in split screen so I can see my robot inputs. I'm going to have to simulate this here because I don't have a push button wired up here, but we can see the robot is running currently, and it is at this wait instruction for my green button. So it will not do anything else until I press my green button. In this case, I'm going to simulate it on, just like I push the button, and you can see that now the robot starts to cycle through, and it will jump back to the top and now wait again for that green button. So every time I push my green button, it will cycle once and then jump back to the top and wait for that green button again. So that is robot inputs and robot outputs in a simple pick and place.